Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
how are you, my dear sweet husband?
I'm great. I'm on the other side of the house working. What's going on over there?
Well, nothing much. Rachel's just meowing like usual, so I'm sure you don't miss that.
No, Whitney
Um,
Houston.
so for people who don't know, I am Santana B, and that is the marvelous Mr. MouseQuake, who is my husband. And so, since he is in the music industry, I decided to interview him. But I don't want to just ask you questions that, are kind of run of the mill, something different, stuff that I don't know. So I'm kind of curious too.
Ah, that's gonna be hard to tell you something you don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So,
Okay. Shoot.
you've been in music all your life. Tell us what your first experience or your first memory of music is or was.
Uh, mm, that's a good one. Uh, I think I was about 3, 4, 5, one of those ages. Uh, with my grandmother in Newark, New Jersey, in Stellar Wright Projects. She was playing Al Green, drinking Falstaff malt liquor.
Uh huh. So she was feeling good.
She was always feeling good.
So what song was it? Do you remember now that you
Yeah, it was Let's Stay Together.
let's date it? Ooh wee. Yes indeed. Al Green. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it make you feel? Do you remember that emotion that you got when you first heard it, or was it just
No, it was just playing. I knew when she started playing the music, I had to go to the back. So
oh, okay, I get you.
yeah,
I'm not gonna ask.
me and my cousin Felicia.
Okay. So do you have a musical family? Who are the musical people in your family?
Well, my uncle David, he played for Sammy Davis Jr. And then my great grandfather Puerto Rico was the stage man for the Apollo Theater.
Oh wow. So he got to
And
see all the acts and everything, huh?
yeah,
How long ago was
and then
that?
it had to be in the 50s and the 60s before I was even thought about.
Yeah.
And my uncle James and my uncle Cleveland, they both played guitar.
Oh.
And then my cousin Ike, he played trumpet for Alabama State University.
Oh, nice. Nice. So you had music all around you.
Yeah,
And what about your mom? Because your mom.
yeah. My mom was a singer too.
Mm-hmm.
She she um she didn't sing professionally, but she can sing. Still can.
Mm. Yeah, she can. I hear. I hear all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So, what musical instruments did you play in school? I mean,
In school, I was strictly a drummer. I played in jazz, symphonic, concert, and marching band in high school. I was in a concert band in junior high school.
mm,
I wanted to play the trumpet, but at the time I had braces
uh,
on my top teeth, and the band director said, "Well, you can't play trumpet, so go back there and play drums."
oh,
And that's how it started.
oh, cool. Did you ever pick up the trumpet after the braces came off, or
Nah, it hurt my lips. I wasn't trying to do that,
yeah, you were in love?
and I have no wind anyway. So
Yeah, that's a very strenuous instrument to play. I mean, because it does vibrate your lips and your teeth, and you got to have
oh yeah,
good.
oh yeah.
I don't know. So, who are your musical influences? Who were they back then as a kid?
Let's see. In the 70s,
Hmm.
uh, Prince,
Definitely.
James Brown. Um, I like jazz. I like Wes Montgomery,
Ooh.
George Benson.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a sleeper for you, Johnny Guitar Watson.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Really, you really liked it as a kid?
Yeah, I like Johnny Guitar
Uh
Watts.
huh. I'm not saying he's bad. He's really good, but I mean, usually kids, older sector likes that. Older than us.
Well, I hung out with old people all the time, so
Oh, okay, okay. So, I remember you telling me that you played grown-up gigs as a teenager with older band members. Uh,
yeah.
how did you get that, and what was that like? I mean,
Well, one of my mom's friends had a band. His name was Jerome, and one day he was in. Back then all the dudes was dipping.
mhm,
That's what they did,
mhm,
project to project. And one day he told my mom that he needed a drummer, but the caveat was that the band member singer was friends with my best friend's mom, and her cousin lived next door to him. So he told him at the same time that he needed a drummer, that I could play drums. The prerequisite was, does he have his own drum set? Because back then it was hard to get a drum set living in the hood. But my dad had bought me one.
mhm.
So he came over and heard me play, and then off to the races after that.
So, I mean, you had to have more than just a drum set, though. I mean, because you can't go in there playing like a animal.
Yeah, well, I could play.
Yeah.
I could play, but bands back then, they weren't trying to invest in no instruments for no musician. And if you're a musician and you don't have your own acts, then you really ain't a musician.
So, tell me, who were some of the members of the band?
Excuse me. Uh, well, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Archie, he played keyboards for SOS.
Mm.
Uh, and a guitar player named Charlie, who was first cousins with the singer Joe.
Oh, wait,
And we had a whole other people, yeah.
that we know
And
now?
most,
Joe, like
like, yeah, I want to know Joe, yeah,
Town? Yeah, Joe.
yeah,
What?
that Joe, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wait a minute. You were in the band as a teenager with some pretty heavy hitters. I mean, he was with the SOS band?
Yeah, we played keys for the SOS band.
So that's what I'm saying. You couldn't go in there, with any kind of Fisher Price drums and,
Yeah, I had a nice pawn shop set,
mm-hmm.
and they did the job. I had to be able to play for them to keep me in the band for as a 15-year-old until I was about 17, and playing gigs all over the place. We played open for Cameo and
Ooh, Cameo.
open for a lot of bands and a lot of singers back then.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
with all of those, I guess, older band members, did you learn anything in particular? What did you pick up from them as musicians?
Well, I learned how to be a professional. I tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I got cursed out a lot
Ooh.
because I was a kid and I was doing kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I really learned how to put together songs and structure charts, and you know be a team player
Mm-hmm.
in a band. And I was taught to control the band as a drummer.
Oh.
Drummers actually control the tempo and the feeling of the band. So I learned how to do that by getting screamed at and getting taught, and then getting screamed at some more and getting taught some more. So I had to learn a lot. I learned a lot about being a musician from them old guys.
And, there had to be something about your mom who I'm sure she saw some things in you. She saw that you were going to be a musician. So she let you go on and get this gig because,
Yeah, they actually had to talk to my. I didn't even. Let's keep it real funky and 100. I didn't even want to do it.
well, I can understand.
I didn't even want to do it because I didn't want to be around a bunch of them old dudes. But my mom had already volunteered me to be in the band, so I was either gonna go do that or have to clean up the house. So guess what? I went and played drums. I wasn't trying to clean up nothing. She'll tell you I was up and out of the house at 7 a.m. every day, even if it was Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
I was gone because I didn't want to do no housework.
so do you think they taught you discipline too, though?
Well, I mean, if you're around a bunch of 40-year-olds, and you're 15, you better have some discipline because I know my mom gave them carte blanche to give me the business if I wasn't doing
Uh
right.
huh.
So I just learned to be a grown man before I should have been a grown man.
Well, maybe God knew some other things were going to happen to you, so you had to grow up sooner. I don't know.
Of course he did. R&B,
Male, female, both.
it don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I just like R&B. I like the instrumentation of it. Plus, I come from a band background, so I like instruments.
So that's a heavy influence of what you like. I get you. I get you. Um, so as a kid, this is a weird question. How would you teach someone? You were telling me about a kid that you kind of bonded with in high school who had special needs. And,
Yeah.
as a teenager, that's a really, really cool thing to have that kind of empathy and, caring for another person, especially being a teenager. We were selfish and stuff. So, um, how would you, with that kid, how, if he were deaf, how would you explain to him what music was to you or, is to you? How would you relay that?
That's a good one. I probably do what most people do: take the music, put the speaker up against his chest, and play it,
Mm-hmm.
and see what his reaction would be. As a matter of fact, that kid was partially deaf, and when I was in
Oh,
high school,
really?
yeah,
See?
he was partially deaf. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, is there a reason that he bonded with you? Is it because you were a drummer? And I know they.
Well, yeah, they saw me in the pep rallies in the front of the school every Friday, playing drums every Friday, and then I played timbales on a specific drum cadence for the school, and it was basically a solo gig, really. And so everybody got to know me from that point.
Ah.
Yeah,
And I mean, if he was partially, hard of hearing, whatever, he probably could feel what you were doing.
yeah, he probably could feel it
Mm-hmm.
because it was loud.
You made sure of that, didn't you?
Everybody, yeah, we were just loud.
Were you
We were
bad? You
just
were
loud.
bad back then, weren't you?
No comment.
Why not? This is an interview. You got to be, you know, revealing.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, so next question. It's a tough one too. Um, there's a preface to it. Um, the scientist Nikola Tesla is said to have this condition. He had a condition called synesthesia, which
Mm-hmm.
is being able to relate one perception to another, like taste the rainbow. I can hear the colors. And he kind of had that. A present day interpretation of that would be, for me, the Wu Tang Clan series. This just this past Wednesday when they did that awesome episode that everybody's still talking about, and how
Oh
RZA
yeah.
experiences music, which
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody or seen anybody explain it that way. To me, that was genius. Um, Also, Stokely Williams, one of your favorite bands from one of your favorite.
Main condition.
Hmm. He did an international type of interview with this guy named Bola Sonola,
Okay.
talking about how he uses music to paint pictures, you know, and that makes sense. So here's where we're going with that. For you, given the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, and I'll call out a musical genre to you. It'll be the same amount of numbers as Roy G. Biv. Um, and the genres are going to kind of be put together. So very generally,
Okay.
could you assign a color to a genre of music as I call it out to you, and then tell me why you would pick that color?
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. What color would you give jazz?
Hmm. Purple.
Purple. Okay. Violet?
No. Violet is softer. Purple. Purple is a mixture of some blues, so it's heartfelt.
See, you're mixing it up. See, Roy G. Biv, they ain't got no purple in Roy G.
Okay.
Biv.
Ain't no violet in there either.
Well, that's what they taught us in school. So, Roy. Okay,
Ain't
so
no.
purple. Purple.
Yeah, violet's a secondary color.
Okay. All right. What about Afro soul, reggae, Afro pop?
Green.
And why is that?
It's earthy music.
Mm. Okay. Country music.
Yellow.
Why?
Sunshine. Outdoors.
Oh,
Big country.
see, I never would have put that together. That's interesting. What about rock and roll? Hardcore rock and
Red.
roll.
Red. Pure aggression.
Oh,
Aggressive and loud.
wow. Okay. R&B slash soul.
Hmm. That could be either blue or red. Either one.
Okay. Why?
Well, blue it could be heartbreak.
Right.
In love it could, in red it could be love or excitement.
Okay. Latin reggaeton.
Oh. That could be yellow or red. Either one. Yellow or red. Aggressive, because that it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be like folk music. Yellowish outside.
Okay. And what about hip hop rap?
Green. Always on the go.
Okay. Right. That was interesting. Okay. But you have two colors for some of them. So I'm going to try to get you to, like, for Latin reggaeton. If you can narrow it down to one color.
You can't. Music is not one color.
Yeah. And that's,
it's a whole bunch of colors.
yeah, I get it. I just thought it would be interesting to, what RZA showed the other night. To me, that would be a tiring way. And I guess that's why I'm not a musician. A tiring of looking at music. I mean, that would just tire you out. Gosh, one song would lay you out.
Yeah, it does. It'll run you crazy.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that? I mean, and there was another producer who said he listened to this album and he just kind of broke down the sounds, and that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, God gave it to you, so you really shouldn't want it to turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I do is I just put everything in perspective to where I think it may be, and then I just roll with it from there. I don't try to make sense of it until it feels like something.
And you told me before too that you can't even really sleep at night because sometimes you hear the song in your head playing.
Yeah. Usually when I'm getting ready to work on a song, I'll wait until it plays in my head all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
and then I know where to go. So it's actually a time saver. I can actually just recall it from point A to point B. If it doesn't play all the way in my head, then I know I'm not supposed to touch it yet.
Okay. Yeah, but that would drive me nuts. Because I mean, you got to go to sleep. You got to rest.
Yeah, I mean, Sometimes it push you to sleep too.
Yeah, but you told me too that sometimes being a musician is almost being crazy. So
Yeah, it's 5150. I mean, just imagine being able to hear stuff nobody else hears just out of the blue and you can't explain it. You just have to do it.
well, is there ever a time that you hear music but you can't play it the way you hear it in your head?
Yep, all the time.
That would drive me nuts too. God.
So I call some of my friends to do it for me.
Has there ever been a time where you couldn't recreate it at all?
No, I can always
Okay.
recreate it.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What is your motto, maxim, philosophy that kind of highlights your thoughts and feelings about music? So if you can narrow it down to one sentence, that would be great. But if you can't, I understand.
You mean like how I deal with people or
Music.
music? Oh, song is
Or
king.
besides Song is King. I know that one.
Um, um, yeah, that's my number one. But always listen to the song. Don't talk to the song. Listen to the song.
Mm, okay, explain that to us, please.
Well, music is the only language on the planet that doesn't require
Mm,
interpretation. You can play it anywhere, you can play it at any place, and it will tell people what it wants them to know. So you should always listen to the song,
mm-hmm.
period.
Wow. And Song is King, what does that mean?
Whatever the song requires, that's what you do. That's what it is. I mean, I've worked on some songs where we've had a bunch of people in there and everybody throwing their little 2 cents in, and some of it has to go. A lot of people's feelings get hurt. A lot of people can't understand it. You just have to take it out. Sometimes it's my stuff that gets taken out. I don't feel no pain over it. It's just that the song has to be what the song's supposed to be.
Wow. That's interesting how you give like the song life basically and it's its own entity.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So what's the longest period of time that you've spent not creating music?
Hmm. About 2 years. Yeah. But that was during wartime. So
So what was your what was that like for you not being able to, because I know you need music like you need breath.
it was torture.
Mhm.
It was torture. So I just took up a heavy dose of reading all the time.
Mm. Mm.
So I read about music stuff. So it,
So
I wasn't doing it, but I was actually doing it. If that
when it
makes sense.
wasn't wartime, like you no military obligations, was there a period of time that you just didn't do music, or do you do music every?
Nah, I did it every
Wow,
day.
that yeah, that's cool. Um, and I know being in the military, you've been to different places. Um, do you feel that the places that you've been to have they shaped you in any way musically? And if so, can you name the places that have made the most impact on you as a musician?
Oh, yeah, that's easy. Okay, Africa.
Mm,
It enhanced the feel of the drums.
hmm.
I lived in Amsterdam for a little while, and I learned how the pop music works. When I lived in Korea, I learned how the techno and the K-pop before it was K-pop, which is really R&B
Yes, it
music.
is.
Um, yeah, come in, and then when I was in the Philippines, I learned about what are they? It's almost like you learn how natives move around with the music and how it
Hmm.
dictates. And then when I came back to the states, it was everything in the states. And then in London, I learned that they like soul music better than we
I
like soul
know
music.
it seems that
Yeah,
way because
yeah. So I spent a lot of time in East London in places I ain't have no business
Oh,
being. Yeah, learning how to do stuff. I probably left London with 400 or 500 records.
wow. But that's where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
meat is. That's where the life and the soul is of a
yeah,
culture. I mean,
yeah.
sometimes where the people are and they're doing their thing and living life. So you have to be a part of that to catch that. Sort of like New Orleans. Um, you said
No shameless plug, buddy.
had to do it though. I have to. Um, what about being in the states? Is there a particular place here in the states that shaped you more than others?
Oakland, California.
Tell us about.
Oakland. Well, I got to Oakland in 1988, right before Oakland became Oaktown, really. And I worked in the airport I worked the Air Force liaison in the airport, and I happened to meet a sky cap. That's the guy who takes your bags at the curb and checks them in and whatever. His name was Lamont Attaway, and he was a rapper. And we were introduced by a famous DJ named Diamond D out of the Bay
Oh.
Area, and we started linking up doing music. And he had been around for a long time, so he started taking me
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. He took me to some studio sessions. At first, I didn't know where he was taking me, but he took me to a studio session once with James Early. And James Early is one of the guys behind MC Hammer.
Ah.
So um, I met him, and I met B Angie B. I met Hammer. I met all the dancers, and I met a whole lot of people hanging out with Lamont. And then by happenstance and circumstance, in my apartment complex, Dawn Robinson lived upstairs from me. That would eventually be in En
Mm-hmm.
Vogue. And next door to me was Winston Garland. He was a point guard for the Golden State Warriors. So I got to go to the basketball games for free because Winston gave me his tickets, and I got to see Dawn before she was Dawn Robinson.
Ah.
Yeah,
Cool. So were you able to feel like the creative juices in that particular area, like New Orleans?
yeah. I actually spent my life savings in Oakland at a um, music store called Arts on East 14th Street, and I went down there on a Saturday to buy some equipment. And this guy named Greg Jacobs sold me all my equipment.
Wow.
Greg Jacobs was Shock G from Digital Underground, and I didn't know who the guy was. He was just nice, and he sold me my stuff at a discounted price because I was paying cash.
Wow.
So
So you knew Shock G.
yeah, I knew him. He's a good dude. Now I'm not gonna say we were buddy buddy and hanging out and all that kind of stuff, but if I needed to talk to him at the music store, I knew where
Mm-hmm.
to go
But
get
when
him.
he became
But when he
famous,
became
you
famous,
know,
I didn't have a clue. I worked in the airport, and one day a crowd of people was in the concourse because this group was coming down. I asked the security guy, and I said, "Who is this that's coming down the hall?" He said, "Oh, some old
group.
damn rap
Oh
group."
wow.
And as he was walking by, they said, "Hey man, how the machine treating you?" And I said, "Good." And then I said, "Hey man, you didn't tell me you was Shock G." And he smiled and went on about his business. But a sidebar story to that, when I bought the equipment, for him to give me the discount, I had to come and pick it up from a studio that he
Uh-huh.
was in Oakland Hills. And his studio was ran by this blind guy named Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Joe. So he gave me the address in Oakland Hills, and I got Lamont because Lamont knew how to get there because Lamont had been there
Right.
before. And so Lamont took me up to get my stuff, and while Greg was showing me how to use it, this little loudmouth guy came in, and Lamont introduced me to him. Lamont said, "Yo, man, Mouse, this is Pop. Pop, this is Mouse." I shook his hand, didn't think anything of it. 4 months later, Lamont takes me to another studio in San Francisco, and we're listening to Tupac's record when my homies
Mm.
called. I asked him who was the dude. He said, "Oh, you met the dude. His name is Pac." I was like, "Who is Pac?" It was Tupac. So, I only met him
Mm-hmm.
once, and at the time I met him, I didn't think anything of it because one, I didn't know anybody in the room but
Uh-huh.
Lamont, and just in case I had to shoot somebody, I was prepared for
Wow.
that.
Yeah, he's
So it's
really
strange. Life is
energetic and,
strange, man.
you know, bouncing off the walls and stuff. My
Yeah,
sister said that she
yeah,
met him too when they were doing the college circuit with Queen Latifah, and it was Shock G and Digital Underground and Tupac, and he was running around trying to get women to iron his shirt, and I'm like, and she's like, "Who is this little short? Who was that?" And then
yeah.
2 months later,
Yeah. That sound like something. That sound like something a Bay
yeah,
Area dude would do.
that's interesting. Tell us what your do you have any other hobbies besides music? And I know music takes up a lot of your time, but
I'm starting to get into doing graphic arts, playing with the camera.
mm,
Uh, I kind of like taking pictures and
mm-hmm.
stuff, but I don't really spend a lot of time doing that uh, during the day. Maybe at night when you're
I
asleep.
know TikTok.
Yeah, I use TikTok as my source of information. Uh, I have it set to photography and iPhone camera, and that's all that pops up on my feed, so I can learn tricks with using the camera. Because I taught myself how to do graphic arts during the pandemic.
Yeah,
So
that's the only way that you could stay sane is just learn a new
yeah,
skill.
yeah, I can't take it if I can't learn something.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm gonna make it that far.
So is photography therapeutic for you?
Yeah, it
Mm,
is. Now it doesn't slow the music down from playing in my head, but it gives it a
yeah,
break. It slows it down a little bit, just enough.
just enough. And I mean, for a little while, and then you're back in your area doing your thing. And
Yeah, back in the
yeah,
office,
yeah, that
me and
sanctuary.
Rachel.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's our living room and it's your sanctuary. Great stuff comes out of there. So I don't mind. I just let you do your thing.
hey,
So what is your superpower? It doesn't have to be musically. What is the thing that you yeah, let's not make it music. What other thing is a superpower of yours?
hmm. Well, I'm gonna take a something that Takees told me. He said my superpower is teaching.
Wow. And when I heard that I'm like terrible. I'm
Yeah,
like teaching. No, I'm out
you
of
know,
that.
I don't, yeah, I don't set out to try to teach anybody nothing. I just like to give people my experiences and let them do with it as they may.
Now, let me say, teaching in and of itself is a wonderful thing. The children are wonderful. It is just the business of teaching that I can't stand.
Well, I'm never gonna do that. That's why I told you to quit that job. I ain't like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That that was back in the day. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
business of, of,
yeah,
of teaching and education and uh, people always trying to. It's never really about the kids, even though they say it is. It's about numbers and money and all that good stuff. So yeah, you kind of have to weigh what's more important for you personally and deal with that. So that's why I'm here. Okay, let's talk about female singers and artists in the industry. Oh no, don't shake your head. Don't. Tell me, what do you think the industry is there a difference between how the industry handles and portrays women as how they portray men? I mean, and why do you think that is?
industry just treats women like pieces of meat, um, and it's typically ass and titties first, and then talent third. You
Yeah.
know, and that's rather disconcerting. I mean,
I mean,
I don't really care
I don't
for
really
it. I don't
care
really
for it.
care
I
to
don't really
see
care to see
a woman
a
shaking her
woman
butt
shaking her butt
and talking about
and
all the stuff
talking
that
about all the stuff
we
that
need to talk about
we
when
need
we
to
by
talk about when
ourselves.
we by ourselves.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
But you
that's
know,
just how it
that's
is
just
right
how it
now.
is
But
right now. But
I won't
I
participate
won't
in it. I mean, I made
participate
a
in it. I mean,
comment
I made
a
a
couple
comment
years ago
a
and
couple
got me
years
put on
ago and got me
TV
put
because
on
I said
TV
it.
because I said it.
yeah, and
And
I don't think
And
that was, anti-feminism either, or anti. I think that's, you said what you said because you care about women. You have lots of women in your family, and
hmm
sometimes it can be misconstrued as oh, you just don't want me to. I have the right to show my.
well, you could do whatever you want to do, but just remember there are consequences that come with every choice, and you can't dictate the consequences of somebody else's choice.
Yeah,
So that's it. That's how I see it, and that's how I'm gonna always see it. I mean, you can't get mad when you make a decision and somebody doesn't follow what you like. Just can't. My uncle used to always say, if you're not one of them, don't wear the uniform.
yeah, but I think feminine power is more than just ass and titties and a beautiful face.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta think, what is the value of beauty? What value is that? Can you take it to the store and buy some grocery? Can you buy a car with beauty? You probably could, but there's no value in beauty. Everybody gets
Right,
old.
right. And to me, it's really sad because I see the women who decide to go, okay, well, it's time to show some legs and now some ass and now some titties. And I'm on the stripper pole. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
this is supposed to be about your voice and your creativity. Um, I don't know. I'm disappointed.
yeah. As soon as I hear a song, in the first 30 seconds is about that, I'm skipping
Hmm.
it. I don't care who it is. It doesn't interest me. If women realize that the stuff that other women tell them that men like is a lie, you probably stop hearing
But
it.
now let me stop you because there's so many women in the industry who end up doing the same thing. So I'm thinking it's more than just, it has to be male driven. This is what you need to do in order to make it. You got to show a little skin. And I've heard somebody even say that when they were judging this female rapper. And I'm like, well, we're not even really, we're listening for rhymes and flow and cadence. What does skin have to do with
Nothing. But
it?
you gotta understand. But you gotta understand. Some women just do it because they want to do it, and some women do it because they think they have to.
I think
Now, if
most
I
women
now if I
do it because they
yeah,
think they
I,
have
I
to.
don't I don't particularly care for that at all, and I let it be known. Yeah, I mean, you've seen it. Women come. Female artists. Come to work, and we make the bet if they're gonna come sexually dressed or
Yeah.
not, and they think that because they come sexually dressed that the illusion of that makes you change your mind. Only thing making me change my mind is Abraham, Thomas, Benjamin, and George.
As titties, they have asses, they have vaginas. What are you doing? You
I
know,
don't know. I don't know.
you're going to be stuck doing what labels you as woman, and then we're getting into gender and all that. So I don't even want to do that. But yeah, what about your talent?
Yeah, you know
It's the music industry, not the
that's
health
just
industry.
that's just a peachy subject that you could argue about it all day long, but it's basically based on the person who is displaying its choice But as I tell them all the time, don't think just because you say you're a lady, but you're not acting like a lady. There's not some fool out there that thinks that your persona is what you
Right.
portray.
And sometimes you want to make sure that you protect what you're projecting out there. And I'll say,
Oh yeah.
as a womanist, not a feminist, I'm a womanist. I believe in the power of women, and their power lies more than just in physical. Um, you get cases where, a group of people, when Kamala Harris was running as, for vice president, the slogan for that particular side was Sleepy Joe and the hoe. And this woman is accomplished. So why are you calling her a hoe? She's never dressed like one. She's never said anything that was off color. Why are you calling her a hoe? Is it
Yeah.
because you're equating a certain group of women because that's all you see, that she has to be that too? So I think that, when we go with ass and titties, you have to really, really understand and really what you're doing.
Yeah.
Uh, that's just my, you
Yeah.
know. All right. So, what are your goals? And you're in the music industry and you're doing what you want to do. Not very many people get to do that from a young age. So now that you're here, you're in Dallas doing what you want to do. Where do you see yourself in the music industry in about 5 to 10 years? Is there a goal for you to, I want to be the CEO of whatever? I mean, what are your goals?
Well, you should know I don't want to work for nobody, so that CEO stuff ain't gonna
That
happen.
was an example.
I just want to be doing what I want to do and be able to go where I want to go whenever I feel like it. And I want to be able to grow uh, as a human being.
Mm, that's beautiful. Yeah. So there's no particular, okay, I want to work with this particular person and I want to move up. I want 5, 10 Grammys or no.
No, that's not important. No, that's not important to me. If they, when they show up, they show up. I do my job. I enjoy it. But I'm not gonna sit up here and lobby and say I want to work with this person. I don't know what I want to do. I just do what is required and make it feel good. I mean, I've been able to work with a whole lot of people, and some people that I knew, some people that I just met when I walked in the room, and some people that I knew but I never worked with. And I've met most of my heroes, so I think I'm doing pretty good.
Tell us your heroes again. Tell me. Your heroes.
Huh?
Who are your heroes? If you don't mind sharing.
I mean, my dad used to take me to hang out with Ali every summer when I was a kid, and you can't get any bigger than that. You know, I got a by happenstance chance to meet Stevie Wonder. You know, my one of my mentors, Gerald Hall, everybody calls him Geo. He took me to 1,000 LaFace sessions with Babyface and all that. And Lisa Left Eye Lopez was tight, so I got to hang with her. Via Geo, I got to hang around John B. and Big Bud from Today. Just a lot of people. So I mean, I got to be around people. And Mr. Lee hooked me up with all these people. Do stuff. So I'm really just amazed at how it comes. So I figured if I try to plan it, and it's not going to work right. So it is what it is. So time is up.
Basically, but I have one more question for you.
All right.
If you remember that movie Looper, where the guy goes back in time and he meets himself as a youngster?
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to do that, you can go back 30 years and meet yourself as a 25-year-old. what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Save more money. That's it.
That's it, really?
Save more money. No, save more money. Don't buy a BMW and a Mercedes Benz, and then don't drive either one of them and buy a Geo Tracker and drive that. That's what I did. So I would have just bought the Geo Tracker and never bought the Mercedes and the BMW.
Well, okay. No, like other words of wisdom, like
No, I know. I was doing pretty good. I was just doing young guy stuff that I had to do to grow. So I would just say, don't buy the two cars and save more money. If I wouldn't have bought the two cars, that was $70,000 right there. So,
but you were
which was
doing young
dumb,
guy
which was
stuff, and
dumb.
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, as a young,
And that's why I bought the Geo Tracker. That's why I bought the Geo Tracker because that was real young guy stuff.
yeah, I mean, so that's the time to do it when you're gonna be foolish. Do it when you're young, um, and as opposed to older, you're stuck. You don't want that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, okay. Any other words of wisdom that you can give our audience,
No,
youngsters?
just be. Just remember, it's really hard to have a second job trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing too, just observing. It's like people want to be other people when, being yourself is no one can be youer than you.
It's easy.
Yeah. So, yeah. So give us your social media handles and where to find you and
Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are all at MF MouseQuake. MFMOUSEQUAKE. MF does not mean what you think. It means most famous.
most famous. That's right. So, thank you so much for being a part of the show and imparting your wisdom. You're always welcome at the Vibe Hive and giving, us dropping knowledge and science for us. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you in a few minutes.
I guess.
Yes, you will. You will. Peace.
Peace.
All right.